What is up, everyone? Max Lin here, and welcome to episode 11 of Themindhere. This is my bi-weekly update to everyone about upcoming works for this channel, discussing the process that goes into my videos, and talking about other things that come to mind. It also serves as a way to keep myself accountable and externally motivated to get my work done. If you're interested in how I make my music and videos, feel free to take a look at previous episodes. Welcome to all of you who are listening to me for the first time. If you're enjoying my content and want to see more, please consider subscribing. Now, if you've been keeping up with my uploads, you'd know that I was especially active these past 2 weeks, so this video may be sort of a long one. Actually, I don't have a work in progress section this time, so the total video length may not be the longest, but anyhow, let's talk about what I managed to produce. The first video I cranked out was the alphabet song, which I promised you all I would release in my last video. The purpose of this song was to practice and test Utau, basically getting over that learning curve. While I learned how the software functioned and found a good workflow, I also practiced on a simple song, so I used the alphabet song. I chose this as my starter song because it was short and it tested a wide variety of phonetics. Believe me, this song took way more time than I thought it would, but that time was not wasted as I was learning a lot. I had to first figure out how to import MIDI files into the software, and once that happened, I needed to become familiar with writing the lyrics in and nailing the pronunciation. That could still use a bit of work, and I definitely can improve my technique. Once the lyrics were in, I needed to tune the song so it at least sounded somewhat human. This and the previous portion were the two pieces that took the most time for me to learn, and likely the areas where I have the most room to improve. Unfortunately, because Utau is a shareware and not open source, once the developer stopped working on it, it has stopped improving. The software looks like a Windows Vista era software, and the UI definitely does not match up to something like FL Studio. There is a software called Synthesizer 5, which costs money but is way cheaper than the Vocaloid software. From what I've seen, it produces English songs pretty well, so if I decide to keep making Vocaloid, I might consider using that software. For now though, Utau works just fine. Another thing to know about the song is that I got to practice some basic FL Studio skills because I combined the voice and the piano in FL. Not only that, but as you may have noticed, I made a thumbnail cover for the song. I'll talk a little more about this later, but I'm quite excited about it. This song was definitely a test of all sorts of processes and software for me, so I felt it was well worth my time to make, even if the actual song may be somewhat questionable. The second piece I produced during this time frame was the most recent transcription I was working on. Technically, I've been working on this for at least a year since I started it more than a year ago, but I only got around to finishing it now. When we last left off, I had the sheet music essentially finished, but I went through and added dynamics and various other ornamentations to polish it up. I then created the piano roll video clip, and then instead of exporting the audio from Musescore, I remade the entire cover in FL. This took substantially more effort, but I liked how it sounded, and it does beat the Musescore audio. I'll likely stick with this technique from now on to make better quality transcriptions. One note about this transcription. While I was making it, I encountered a few times when, no matter what I did, the transcription just didn't seem to be getting better. Part of the reason why this transcription took a year to complete was that I got frustrated and left it alone for a while. Even during the past months when I dedicated myself to finishing it, sometimes my work sessions would feel like a complete waste. For me, I really had to push past perfecting each part before moving on, and being content with something meh in order to not stall. Something is better than nothing, and perfect cannot be the enemy of good. Once I was able to start working on other parts and give that troubled part some breathing room, insights magically appeared and the transcription process moved on smoothly. Now, although I won't have a work in progress video at the end, I'm quite excited about this new transcription. This one is going to be my take on Bo Burnham's Can't Handle This. Bo is someone I deeply respect, and this song in particular is quite meaningful. This is going to be a fun one for me because this time it's going to be two instruments, piano and cello. So we'll see how this turns out. Moving on to some comments, we have one from our regular, Alfred Prose. First of all, thank you, man. I appreciate your thoughtful comments and your consistent feedback. It gives me an outside view of my work and makes me feel that true progress is happening. Right, let's get to the question. To your first part asking me about strategies to do what I love, the most important tool I use is a time blocker. I use this app called Plan, and if you search up Get Plan in Google, this should pop up. I dump all my tasks here and plan out my day to give myself an idea of what I can do. Going into semester 2 of my senior year, I'm adjusting myself to put less emphasis on my schoolwork, since it doesn't matter as much anymore. I won't go too much in depth, but I first prioritize the amount of sleep I get, then I factor in school time, sports, and other extracurriculars. Once those calendar events are in place, I make sure to budget time out for me to work on these new endeavors. After all of that, my schoolwork will fill in the remaining time. Before this semester, schoolwork would have taken priority over my projects, but now I feel like it's about time to reverse it. The second part of the question, I believe, is asking me what I do if I'm not able to find time for my projects. That has happened in the past before when I didn't have enough time to do anything I wanted, but that was when I realized I'm the only person that can control what I do with my time. After I took inventory of everything I did and where all my time went, I realized that there were some places where I could become more efficient and other activities that I could completely cut out. It's always a balancing act, but usually the week averages out to some personal time. I'm fully aware that this academic year is special and the pace I'm going at now will likely not be sustainable in the future, but this is exactly why I'm doing this now. I'm going to take this gift and invest it so I can become better. That last portion, I believe it asks what I do after a weekday of not touching the transcription. Well, oddly enough, I don't actually do anything. In fact, it's quite nice in some ways to have an extended break from my transcription because when I listen back to it, I get a fresh take and I get fresh insights on it. Even if I don't touch it for a week or two, I can usually jump straight into it. In the past, I've had periods of months and then it takes a day or two to just remember what I usually do. Under normal circumstances though, it's actually fine. Okay, let's talk a little bit about my plans for this channel. Now, I know this topic has come up before, but I feel like I have a better idea now after experimenting in the areas I want to go into. First of all, I still plan to make transcriptions. They are fun, and I enjoy helping people play songs that didn't have sheet music before. I'll most likely be cranking them out at about 1 every 3 months like before, as I don't plan to expedite them anytime soon. After all, my extra time will go into the other content I'll be talking about. Electronic music and Vocaloid go hand in hand, but for now I'll treat them a little bit separately as I learn how to make them. For both of these new types of content, I'll likely post some tests and experimental stuff before releasing more regular, actual songs. FL might be easier to master just because there's more content out there about it and it's much more popular, but I will do my best to master Vocaloid at around the same pace. Not much else about electronic music, but for Vocaloid I might play around with both English and Mandarin Chinese, since those are the two languages I'm comfortable with. Now, remember how a few videos ago I talked about some educational style videos? Well, I'm still planning to do something like it. Those videos will likely be of me sharing and explaining my research into a topic that happened to pique my interest, and that research is ongoing, so it'll be months before anything of that sort comes out. A good thing too, because I'm definitely not prepared to make a video of that content just yet. I want to make the video animated in some ways, so I've got to learn how to make animations. In fact, I plan to add animations to most of my videos. I'm working with this software called Krita, which allows me to make digital art and animations. That's one of the many things I need to learn. It's a lot, but I'll get there steadily. You've already seen my initial test on the alphabet song. Those are the things that Krita allows me to make with its basic functionalities. I can't wait to see what I can do with more of its features. Alright, that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you to everyone who watches these updates. It provides me important feedback on my work and in turn helps me provide everyone with better content to enjoy. Whether you watch these updates regularly or not, I still appreciate the support everyone has given me. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you everyone, and I will see you in the next video.